I had the camera out here, so I thought I'd say something. Uh, I had read something the other day that I thought was funny. Somebody had said they thought it was odd that their grandfather voted Republican all his life until he died 15 years ago. And since then, he's been voting Democratic. Now, this sort of thing happens. I know there was somebody who just got a voter registration for a cat that had died like 15 years ago. And here in the mail comes a voter registration to do the mail-in vote for the cat. Now, there's always been a certain amount of trickery going on in the voting. But I think we're going to see an astonishing amount uh, this next time because the Democrats are determined to win regardless. They will burn the world to an ash heap if they can stand on top of the ash heap and claim to be the victors. Yeah, it's it's funny, but it's sad. I mean, they have the theory that the end justifies any means, so you will see an incredible amount of fraud turn up this next election. A lot of the stuff, the nonsense that goes on now, all these riots and all this stuff, it isn't about racism, it isn't about police brutality, it's about the upcoming election. It doesn't really matter, in truth, who wins, because no matter who wins, I think we are destined to have a civil war. There's really going to be no winners in this. If the Democrats win, which is a horrifying thought, it's really just the end of our country as it is. We're done. We're going to have to try to take the country back. This isn't going to go well. And if the Republicans win, the Democrats are never going to accept that. I mean, look at the behavior now and think what happens if they lose again. So I think we're destined to have a civil war. I don't know how you can get around it. I don't think there's any other way out of this. Like I say, I wouldn't mind seeing the country broken up because we have nothing in common with the people out on the coast. They're nothing to us. We're never going to agree on things. And I think the world would be a lot better off if we were broken up into smaller countries. This is kind of a last-ditch thing, but I think we're to that last-ditch thing. But I think we're less likely to be interfering in other governments' business if we're smaller countries. But that won't happen without a civil war first. People are going to say, oh yeah, let's just split it up. You go your way, I'll go my way. No, it's one of them deals like when somebody says, oh, I want a divorce. Well, if I can't have you, nobody can, and shoots the spouse. It's kind of like that. So I expect to see a lot of nonsense going on up to the election, but after the election, no matter who is declared the victor in this thing, there is going to be violence. I don't see any way around it. It's not a great thought, but it is what I am preparing for. I fully expect it because I don't see another way out of it. not with the behavior that I see going on now, because the left is just acting insane. Now, I'm not a big fan of Trump, but that's Trump as a person. I mean, I don't particularly care for him, but as far as his governing, I think he's doing the best that he could do in a horrible situation. Because you got everybody against you. He's a complete outsider coming into it. So you got even the people who in theory are on your side really aren't on your side. I mean, you're kind of on your own in that situation. So I don't know, but I can foresee no way out of it without it getting very messy. I mean, it's messy now. I mean, who'd ever thought that our country would get to this point? And when the election hits, when that's over, but in the meantime, there is going to be shenanigans, all kinds of shenanigans. But it'll just build up to the election. And once that happens, then the shit is going to hit the fan. There's just, I can see no way out of it. Nobody's going to say, oh, yeah, okay, I give up, you're right. We'll have it your way. The Republicans cannot give up to the Democrats. I mean, it isn't like they're moderate. Nobody's moderate anymore. There's no middle ground in this. You're either completely lunatic, which the left evidently is, or you're just trying to hang on to what we got, which we are in great danger of losing. But I think the only way to hang on to it is to fight for it. But it's going to get crazy, and then it's going to get messy. And then maybe in the end, maybe a year, 2 years from now, maybe we can split this country up and settle things down. Then we can fight between each little individual nation instead of, I don't know. It's a crazy situation. But I think, like when they complain about, well, if they do the mail-in voter thing, it's going to be a lot of fraud. Well, yeah, it's bound to be, because like I say, the Democrats at this time feel that they have no choice but to use every possible dirty trick to win. Nothing else matters at this moment. And the problem is, they'll do this and they'll get by with it just fine. I don't know that people ever even get prosecuted. There's all the time where people are voting in multiple states and doing all kinds of shenanigans, and they just get off. Slap their hands and tell them, don't do that again. But it's going to be done on a grand scale. There are certain cities where it's just, they're noted for having a lot of dead people voting. The cemeteries, they should put up a polling booth in the cemetery. But it's going to be, the whole country is going to be that way. But particularly in the liberal areas. Because they're, like I say, notorious for this. So that's my theory. That's what I'm looking at. It's like a worst case scenario, but I don't see any other scenario that works. Or I don't see a peaceful way out of this. It's gone too far. So I think it's going to end up in a civil war. Not just a little riot. Because the problem is, I know a lot of people who are Democrats, or consider themselves Democrats. They aren't these wild I crazy. They can't go for that. You'd have to be, if you're just voting that party line and you're voting with all these lunatics that are running for offices, this is so scammed up. Even the idea of, they always run these weird people for office, like Biden, which is just, he's never done nothing. In all the years he's been in government, he's never shown any initiative except to get his kid money out of that oil company deal, which I did. It's funny because when I hear that come up now, I did a video about that long ago, way when it happened, thinking this is a pretty slippery deal. Well, yeah, it was a slippery deal. And now it's finally coming out just how slippery it was. But we shouldn't have been interfering there at all. We were pulling all kinds of underhanded stuff in the first place. We didn't belong there. The same in Crimea. We had no business getting involved in that. The people voted what they wanted to do. We had no say in it. We were upset because it happened too fast. We weren't able to get our fingers in there and start messing the pot. You gotta leave people alone. I mean, we got hellacious problems here. We don't need to be interfering in other people's business. But it'll be interesting. But I can't imagine living in some of the areas. There's places where this is going to get really bad. Of course, they're all the liberal areas that are already bad. But they're going to get a lot worse. But if you think this little riot thing is something now, that's just a preview of what you're going to have. They're pretending this is about race relations, but it really isn't. It's all about the election. Everything from now on, and has been for quite a while, it's all about the election. So it comes down to a choice. If you're going to save the country, or you're going to burn it to the ground. And I think they're going to burn it to the ground. But, so much for that. But I'm preparing. Thinking there will be a civil war. I don't see an easy out on this deal.